The Amish found a way to cool a house without central air, without an attic fan, and without a smart thermostat. And the strange part is this: the principle behind it can cost less than a fast food lunch. It was not magic, it was thermodynamics. While modern American homes trap summer heat above the ceiling, old Amish homes were designed around airflow, shade, cotton, and pressure. They understood something many modern houses forgot: hot air must be given a way out before machinery is forced to fight it. When an attic climbs toward 140 degrees Fahrenheit, that heat does not stay politely above your head. It radiates downward through the ceiling into the rooms where your family sleeps. That is why your HVAC system feels like it is losing a fight it was never designed to win. You are not just paying to cool the air, you are paying hundreds of dollars so a machine can fight heat stored inside your own house. The old fix was cheap, sometimes as simple as cotton cloth, shade, and open airflow. But the real story is not the $4 fabric. The real story is how warm air rises, how radiant heat moves in straight lines, and how moving air carries moisture away before it becomes a problem. The physics never changed. Modern construction just learned how to ignore it. Before modern air conditioning became normal, many American houses were built with one basic assumption: the building had to breathe. Older homes had taller ceilings, shaded porches, operable windows, vented attics, gable openings, and roof spaces that were never meant to become sealed ovens. The attic was a sacrifice layer. It absorbed the worst heat from the roof, then released that heat through natural airflow before it could push deep into the living space. That design was not primitive. It was climate logic. Then the energy crisis of the 1970s changed the way America thought about buildings. Fuel prices rose. Heating bills scared families. Builders, regulators, and manufacturers began focusing on one dominant goal: stop air from leaking out, seal the walls, seal the attic, add vapor barriers, add insulation, make the house tighter. From a winter energy perspective, that made sense. A leaky house wastes heat when the temperature drops, but the trade-off came quietly. Many homes became better at holding conditioned air, but worse at releasing trapped heat. The attic changed from a breathing buffer into a sealed pressure zone. Heat built up under the roof. Moisture had fewer escape paths. And instead of designing the house to manage heat naturally, the industry trained homeowners to solve the problem with larger mechanical systems. This is not a story about a conspiracy. The construction industry did not need to plot against you. It simply optimized for speed code minimums, winter efficiency, and repeatable building methods. Developers could build the same house again and again. Contractors could seal it, insulate it, and install a 3-ton or 4-ton HVAC system to make the comfort problem disappear on paper. But physics does not disappear. When a house loses its natural breathing paths, the heat still has to go somewhere. If it cannot leave through airflow, it moves downward as radiant heat. Then your air conditioner becomes the backup plan for a design mistake. The Amish cooling trick is not really a trick. It is two old physics principles working together. The first is buoyancy-driven ventilation. Hot air expands. When it expands, it becomes lighter. When it becomes lighter, it rises. That is the stack effect. In an old house with a gable vent, a cupola, or a high attic opening, the hottest air has a place to escape. And the moment that hot air leaves the top of the house, it creates a low-pressure zone behind it. That pressure difference quietly pulls cooler air from lower windows, shaded doors, and first-floor openings, especially at night. No electric fan is needed. No motor is needed. The house is using static pressure and temperature difference as its engine. The second principle is the $4 cotton muslin layer. This is where the idea becomes more interesting. Heat does not only move through hot air, that is, convection. Heat can also move as radiant energy traveling in straight lines from a hot roof deck toward the ceiling below. Insulation can slow that movement, but it cannot make the heat source disappear. Plain cotton muslin helps because it sits in that path. Old extension-style building guidance, including mid-century agricultural home ventilation material, describes simple fabric shading and airflow as practical ways to reduce heat gain in farm structures. Untreated cotton can absorb a small amount of moisture from cooler night air. When the roof heats up during the day, that moisture evaporates. Evaporation pulls heat into a phase change. That is the same basic reason sweat cools human skin. So the real secret is not the cloth itself. It is using cheap cotton placed near airflow to interrupt radiant heat before your HVAC has to pay for it. The first objection is always moisture. Many contractors will tell you that opening more attic ventilation brings humidity into the house. That sounds logical, but it misses the real problem. Moisture becomes dangerous when air stops moving. Stagnant air cools against wood nails, roof decking, and hidden corners. Then condensation begins. Moving air does the opposite. It carries water vapor away before that vapor can sit long enough to soak into the structure. That is why the goal is not a wide-open attic. The goal is controlled airflow. Older homes also had an advantage. Modern houses often lack. Rough-cut lumber could buffer small changes in moisture better than many modern engineered materials. That does not mean you should ignore humidity. It means the system must breathe, drain, and dry. The second objection is building code. This is where people get nervous. But the International Residential Code does not ban attic ventilation. It sets minimum ventilation ratios, often described around 1 square foot of net free vent area for every 300 square feet of attic space when the system is properly balanced. More ventilation is not automatically illegal. The danger is cutting holes, blindly blocking soffits, or changing roof assemblies without understanding the structure. If your roof is under warranty, read the shingle manufacturer's ventilation requirements first. Overheated attics can damage shingles and shorten roof life. The third objection is pests. This one is real. Never leave a vent open to bats, wasps, birds, or rodents. Use stainless steel mesh around 1/8 inch behind the vent opening. Air should pass, animals should not. This is not about reckless DIY. It is about safe airflow, moisture control, and respecting the building envelope. Start with an attic audit, not a hammer. Go up early in the morning before the roof turns into a heat sink. Bring a flashlight, a mask, gloves, and a phone to take pictures. Look at the gable vents first. Are they open, or did someone cover them with paint, foam, insulation dust, or an old screen packed with debris? Then look for blocked airflow paths. A vent that exists on the outside, but is sealed from the inside, is not ventilation. It is decoration. The $4 fix begins only after that inspection. If the old aluminum screen is torn, clogged, or corroded, replace it safely. Behind the vent that receives direct sun, stretch a clean white cotton muslin layer as a simple radiant filter. Do not staple it against hot wiring. Do not block the whole opening. Air still needs to move. The cloth should soften radiant heat, not suffocate the vent. Then build the night draft engine. After sunset, when the outdoor air is cooler, crack a lower window on the shaded side of the house by about 4 inches. If the attic can exhaust hot air above the house, begins pulling cooler air from below, from 8 at night to 6 in the morning, the structure starts behaving like a natural breathing machine. Cheap does not mean careless. The rule is simple. Inspect first, keep airflow open, and never modify structure or wiring without a qualified professional. We live in an age where comfort has been turned into a subscription. Every summer the house gets hotter, the machine works harder, and the bill comes back higher. So, we buy a bigger unit, a smarter thermostat, or another service plan, while the simplest forces on Earth are sitting outside the window shade: airflow, moisture, pressure, and time. That is why the Amish method matters. It is not about rejecting technology. It is about remembering that nature already has a cooling system, and a smart house should cooperate with it before it pays to fight against it. This is technology without a sales department. This weekend, take a flashlight and look into your attic. Are the vents open or are they blocked with foam, paint, insulation, or dust? Does the space feel like a breathing buffer or a sealed oven? Comment the year your house was built and what you found up there. I read every comment. And subscribe, because the next idea may change the way you look at your home again.